Starting off this morning with soaking some cucumbers in some ice water just to bring back full hydration on them. And then I'm going to be slicing them up, putting them in jars and canning them as dill slices. I've done this before, so I won't make you go through me slicing them again. But next after this, I think I'm going to freeze more French fries. I got to cut up a watermelon, and I've got a giant bowl of tomatoes over there I've still got to figure out what I'm going to do with. So I've got to get this day started. Pickles are getting ready to be canned. As soon as that water hits boil, I'll drop them down in there. Since these pickles was cold in ice water, even though I put the hot liquid in it, I let them sit in this basket on top while this water is heating up, just so it warms them up so the thermal shock won't crack the jars. It seems to work well for me. So these will water bath for 10 minutes and then they'll be done. Okay, I got the potatoes sliced. They was blanched, and then they've been flash froze, and I've got a video on that. I did them last week. They're good and pretty well solid. Now today, what I'm going to do different is last week I used my food sealer and sealed them up, and which I went and fried some yesterday just to see how it did. Now when I opened them up, they was still one solid piece. Did it make a difference? Not really to me, because I portioned them out to where it was going to be a good serving for my husband and I. But I had to lay it come out of the bag solid, so I was holding it as a one solid piece, and I had to put it down into the hot oil as a solid piece. Now I just waited until I seen it break apart before I was stirring them. It didn't hurt a thing. The fries was delicious. They did just what they were supposed to do, but I'm going to try and do it this way with regular freezer bags and see if I can, when I take them out of the freezer to fry them, if they'll be, individual, not one big clump. They're going to get eat fast enough that I'm not really worried about freezer burn. And it is cheaper to use these bags versus the food sealer bags. So I'm going to see which one I like best. It's good to try things and experiment. I've got more fries to do. So probably the weekend, I'll probably do up one of these bags of fries just to see how we like if they come apart and they're single. But yeah, it's not going to hurt to try it. See, they're already feeling, I think when I sucked all the air out of them with the food saver, I think that really made a difference, where maybe using just these regular bags like this will be better. Now for long term, if you plan on keeping them in there for a year, I probably would use the food saver. But I'm going to give this a try, and sure doesn't hurt anything. So I'm going to go ahead and get these rest of the way bagged up, and I'll show you how many I get. Okay, I ended up with 4 quart-sized bags of French fries, which is good. Small batches are good for me rather than having this big old pile that's kind of intimidating. This is about all I want to peel in a day. So I think this is going to do me as far as preserving today. I've got my big old stainless steel bowl with quite a few tomatoes in it. I am contemplating getting out all my frozen tomatoes and getting my giant roaster out and getting that all set up in the morning and starting my tomato soup. Not sure yet, because it's a big job and it'll have to simmer probably for 24 hours, but it does make some good soup. So my freezer is getting overrun with bags of tomatoes, so I've got to do something. So for now, I think this is all I'm going to get done today. So this is Shelly from Hodgepodge Hoosiers. Until next time, bye for now. Good morning. It's early. It's like 4:36 a.m. And I've got my big Nesco out. This was my mom's. It's huge. It's a Nesco 18. I'm just cutting up all these fresh tomatoes that I had out yet. And then I'm gonna be throwing these bags in slowly as they cook, just so they don't burn since they're still frozen. And I've got my frozen onions ready, and I gotta get my celery out and all the spices, and I'm gonna let this cook all day. I'm gonna see how it looks tonight. If it's cooked really good, I'm liable to go ahead and strain it all and get it into a pot, put it in the fridge, and then it will be, has to cook down and get thicker, and then it'll be tomato soup and I can can it up. So I'm gonna get these all cut up and put in there and start slowly adding the frozen ones and see how far I get. I get my grandson today, so I figured, well, I'll get 2 hours here working before he comes, because I've also got to can squash pickles today, and I'd like to shred some zucchini, so we'll see how far I get. All right, I've got my recipe here, and I'll post a picture of it. This is called Better Than Campbell's Tomato Soup, and this is what I canned last year, and we loved it. I think I must have got it off of Pinterest, but it calls for 20 pounds fresh tomatoes, which I've got probably close to that. This was half full of fresh that I just chopped up, and then I did put one. It was probably about, it wasn't quite a 2-gallon bag of frozen in there, and I'll let them cook down, and as they do, I've got 2 more 2-gallon bags and 1 more 1-gallon bag of frozen to keep adding. It says 2 large onions. I don't like a lot of onion in my soup, so I freeze my onions in half-cup increments. So I'm just going to put 1 cup of onion. You can go ahead and put the 2. That don't really matter as far as the canning process. Then it says 8 stalks of celery. So I actually have all these, so I don't know, it probably adds up to about what I need. So I'm just throwing them in there. Like I said, I don't think it's got to be real exact as far as the flavor, as long as you do get the citric acid and the tomatoes right when you're canning. It says 20 leaves of fresh basil. So I've got this stalks off of them, and I got them rinsed. And then it says 6 teaspoons of sea salt. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to put 5, and I'll taste later to see if I need to add the 6th one. I know it's going to be a lot of tomatoes go through there. And 2 teaspoons of lemon pepper. I don't have lemon pepper, I just got black, but I'm only going to put 1 teaspoon. Last year, when I made this, I think I doubled it. I must have put 4 teaspoons of pepper, and it was good, but it had a little kick to it by the time it got back into the back of your throat. So I'm only going to put 1 teaspoon, and then I can adjust it before canning to see how we like it. Now, it also says that we're going to add honey or cane sugar, but now that don't come until after we get it put through the wood mill. Oh, you can tell it's early in the morning. The food mill, and we got to get rid of the skins and the seeds before we add the honey to cook it, to get it this way we want it. So it says here that this is going to have to be pressure canned. You cannot water bath can it because you've got other vegetables in it. So we're going to let this cook all day, and we're going to see how it looks. My husband said that he would do, I've got a manual food mill, and I only get it out when I've got large batches. So I asked him this morning if I started this real early, if he would help me strain it. He said he would. So he actually likes doing that kind of stuff, so, and I'm glad. So anyway, I'm gonna get this going, get it covered, and as it cooks down today, I'll keep adding the other tomatoes, and hopefully we'll get this lipping full, so I'll get a year's supply of tomato soup on the shelf, because because I had to get all these tomatoes out of the freezer. So stay tuned. All right, it's been a couple of hours and I've got all the tomatoes in but that one bag over there. And one thing it's doing is making a lot of juice as it thaws. And I don't want all that juice in there because I've still got to add another bag. So I have scooped out, this is an 8-cup bowl, 8 cups of juice so far. I mean, the soup, you don't want it real thin like juice. You want it to be a thick soup. So I got out 8 cups, and then I'm going to add the other bag. And I just get out the real watery juice so I can have the real meaty pulp stuff for whenever we run it through the mill. I have another batch of squash pickles going. You've seen me do this already, so I won't bore you with how it is, but this is something else that I'm getting done today. And I'll show you the tomato soup. They're cooking down. I've got them all in there now. So now I just got to get real mushy and soft. I was taking water off. I think I took 3 of these off so far. Okay, this is plenty soft. It's been simmering for several hours. So the next step is this over here. I've got my food mill set up. And all you do is put you a scoop or 2 in here. And just start cranking. The pulp, the skins and seeds comes out this way. And then the pulp and the juice comes out this way. When that little tray gets full, I just transfer it into there, because when my roaster gets empty, I'm going to put this all back in there to simmer to get it to the thickness I want. So we're just going to keep doing this until we get it all run through. I run this stuff through twice just to get all the pulp out. So I'll show you what it looks like when it gets done. Okay, 14 hours later, we've got the soup how we want it. It's cooked down, it's nice and thick. I'm gonna get them put into these pint jars, wipe the rims. I've got my lids and rings ready. My pressure canner is over there getting going. It's going to can at 12 pounds of pressure for 25 minutes. And I'll show you what it looks like when it gets done.